All right, what's up, everyone? Nito here, and I want to do a quick showcase of my League starter for Ritual League. So currently I'm playing a Sweep, Bleed, Rupture, Deadeye. So the new Deadeye Ascendancy has this new Rupturing node, which basically means crits inflict bleeding, and crits that also inflict bleeding also inflict a new debuff called Rupture, which makes enemies take 25% more damage from bleeding, and the bleeds expire 25% more quickly, and that can stack up to 3 times, and each of those stacks individually lasts 3 seconds. So basically, you want to be critting at least 3 times within 3 seconds in order to maintain Rupture stacks, and that's going to give you a lot more bleed damage. So basically, I'm using Ungil's Harmony, which is a unique amulet that gives 350% global crit strike, and I'm using a fleshripper axe, which is a high base crit chance axe base type. And it gives me around, let's see, it's around 40% crit chance. So with some attack speed, that's enough to be keeping Rupture stacks up all the time without really investing anything into crit on the tree. So pretty much the only crit I have is from this amulet and from the weapon itself. So you don't want to really invest into crit multi at all or any other crit stats, because 40% is plenty to just keep up the Rupturing stacks. This is also a Crimson Dance build, so you can stack bleeds up to 8 times. So you want to be hitting relatively quickly so that you maintain both Rupture stacks and Crimson Dance stacks. And also Gathering Wind stacks, which increases the effect of your Tailwind. And it's also a defensive mechanic because each stack of Gathering Wind gives you 3% less damage taken, although you lose them all on hit. So this character has actually turned out to be quite tanky, and the reason is because you get 30% less damage taken from Wind Ward, you get 25% less damage taken from Focal Point, you get 20% less damage taken from Wind Dancer, and then you get like around 25% less damage taken from Fortify. So it's really just a lot of generic less damage taken, and then I also have a really high dodge chance because I'm using Acro Phase Acro. As well as, I have a bunch of spell dodge on my boots. I have Vol Grace. So it's turned out to be really, really good for the rituals, like really dense rituals. You can kind of just jump into the middle of them and tank everything for the most part. So it's working out pretty well for this specific lead mechanic. So what else is there? Let's see. So over here we have mostly just cluster jewels for bleeding. Basically, we want to also focus on bleed duration because Rupture shortens the duration, and you want to have a long enough duration so that you can stack up full stacks of Crimson Dance. So you want to get stuff like Rend, or you can even get stuff like, Steady Torment. Because we are actually inflicting bleeding poison, because Dirty Techniques gives us chance to poison on hit right here. So you actually can benefit from Steady Torment as well. Although that's not really the focus of the build. And then over here we just have a Timeless Jewel, Lethal Pride. We're not actually allocating any of the keystones from it. It's just giving us a bunch of extra stats like extra life, some extra resistance, some extra melee crit chance, and it lets us allocate Razor's Edge, which is a sword, notable, but it also has generic 10% damage over time multiplier for bleeding, and it happened to hit 4% life from the jewel, so I decided to go for that. Another good anoint would be Bloodletting, or you can just pick up Bloodletting, and you could anoint something like Mark the Prey. So the new Focal Point Deadeye notable is actually incredibly strong. 75% increased effective marks, and I'm using a trigger Poacher's Mark on hit ring. So basically, every time you hit a rare enemy, you're going to mark them, and all of the nearby enemies are going to deal 25% less damage to you. And the last line of this says marks you inflict are not removed from dying enemies, which basically just means that the mark stays on the corpse of the enemy after it dies, and so nearby enemies still get that less damage taken, or sorry, less damage dealt to you, basically. So this is actually one of my favorite new notables on the Deadeye tree, because it's both really strong offensively and defensively, marks, unlike hexes, don't have the reduced effects against bosses. So 75% increased effect of your marks is just incredibly powerful. And I really like this notable, especially in combination with the other defensive mechanics on this tree. It's not as good against single target because it's good offensively against single target, like on bosses, but because there's no other enemies around, you're not taking less damage from anything, but you still get the offensive upside. So anyways, I'm just going to run this tier 16. It's an elder map, constrictor map, so I'll just show you what it looks like. You basically just run around and spin a bunch of times. And the other thing is, like, you can throw down ancestral protector totems, and when they crit, they'll actually apply rupture stacks for you. So it just makes it easier to maintain rupture stacks on bosses or single target enemies. So yeah, check it out. And I can pretty much actually just stand completely still in the middle of a ritual and like tank most things. So it's very good for this league mechanic, actually.
That would only slow me down. My mana is gone.
All right, let's go to the boss. The other thing you might be wondering is why sweep? So I originally had planned on doing a lacerate build until I realized that lacerate is actually a really garbage skill for leveling and for really just like the way that lacerate works is it kind of hits in a cone in front of you, and anything around the sides to you or behind you just doesn't get hit at all. And I just found it really clunky to play, so I switched over to sweep, and sweep has really high base damage, and it has a bunch of flat added damage as well, so it's quite good for bleeds. And yeah, I ended up just liking it way more than lacerate.
I'm not up to that just yet.
Alright, so there you go. That's the Bleed, Rupture, Sweep, Deadeye. I think the new Deadeye Ascendancy is actually pretty cool, especially this bottom half of the tree. I haven't really messed around with any of the extra projectile stuff, but this stuff is really strong, especially Focal Point. You know, win more defensively is really nice. So yeah, check it out. Thanks for watching.